I'd like to call the Winton Woods Board of Education meeting to order Monday, October 27th, 2014. If you would please stand with me so that we might say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Seymour, would you call the roll?
Dr. Johnson?
Here.
Mrs. Miranda?
Present.
Mr. Pennicott?
Present.
Mr. Cleary?
Here.
Mrs. Byrne?
Here. District honors, recognitions, gifts, and introductions.
Yes, Madam President, I'm excited about these district honors and recognitions tonight. The first recipient is the superintendent selection for artwork. And I would like to have Aiden Hernandez. Is Aiden here? Aiden, you're killing me. I need you here. All right. There's Aiden's picture, the first one. And I sent that picture to Mrs. Burns, and she asked me if I liked it because that was me. No, that's not me. All right. You guys think it looks like me? No. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. All right. That's powerful already. But that one jumped out at me, and I don't know what the medallion is around the neck, but I said that I thought it was a stethoscope. So Aiden's going to be a doctor. All right. Thank you. So Aiden, hopefully we'll get that to him. All right. The next one is the principal selection, and that's Rena Spence. Oh, yes. Come on. Yes, come on. All right. Comfort. Now that's the principal selection for Rena. All right. Came in uniform and everything. She's shy. Oh, I didn't get a big bio on you, but you know what? Hold the picture up so everybody can see it. Turn it around. All right. Where you can put that picture at? Very good. Excellent. But we're going to frame it, and that'll be a famous piece, art piece one day. Did you keep the medallion? All right. Mom, thank you very much. And then the next honorable mention was Kane Chenault, Sanaya Thompson, and Sadia Israel. Are they here? All right. Great artwork. Thank you very much. Ready for the next one? Yes. All right. The Kiwanis Characters Key Award recipient goes to Anila McKinney. I'm going to read something about you. Is that okay? All right. Anila McKinney is a second grade student in Miss Middleton's class. She was nominated for this award because she is consistently respectful to all adults and her classmates. Additionally, she is always considerate and polite to her teachers and all staff members in the building. Her actions make her an asset to not just her class in Primary South, but the entire school district of Winton Woods. I truly feel lucky to have her as a student from Mrs. Middleman, classroom teacher.
Congratulations on your award, and on behalf of the Green Hills Forest Park Kiwanis, they have awarded you a $35 gift certificate to Barnes & Noble.
Wow. When these teachers are writing certain just great pieces about the students, I'd like to read that sentence again. Imagine a teacher saying, I feel lucky to have her as a student. Wow, that's powerful. Thank you. Okay, Gold Star Kiwanis Student of the Month Award, Nami. Not here. All right. I'm going to read this anyway because this is a powerful piece. This is from Ms. Gipfried, the school counselor. I'm excited to have been part of Nami's Lee's education in the past 3 years. When I first was reading this, I had to read it carefully because I'm thinking, wrong student. Right idea, though. It says, Nami is a problem solver. I thought she was saying is a problem. Whoa. She's very self-motivated and amazing starter. When Nami is determined to do something, she does it. After Nami's first year in our Academy of Global Studies program, she was unhappy with her grades and she wanted to move to the traditional high school. Her former counselor challenged Nami to continue with the very rigorous Global Studies program, a program for which she has taken 4 AP courses along with many honors level courses. She agreed to continue with the program, and through her determination, she has found great success. I believe it was the best decision she has ever made. Her grades after her freshman year have been excellent. She currently has a 3.149 GPA and a class rank of 41 out of 280 students in her class, while she's taken the most rigorous courses offered by our school. Listen to these courses: AP Government, AP Calculus, AP Human Geography, AP Physics, Honors Chemistry, Spanish 4. It is with great pride that I recommend Nami Lee for this award. Raise your hand if those were your classes when you were. Okay, all right. She's made has the unique opportunity to participate. This student not only goes to school, but she does some other amazing things. Just listen. As a member of this program, she's learned in a wall-to-wall project-based learning setting where she has been required to present over 100 times to her peers, as well as to do business and community members during her high school career. Nami also is globally competent as she has participated 4 years in our global seminars course, learning about current world events, listening to speakers from around the world, and participating in our Model UN Nations program. Not only does she have the academic prowess and confidence to be successful in college, but she's had the chance to discover the world. Her knowledge and unique experiences will allow her to greatly add to the college she attends. Nami also has great experience in the world of work. She has spent 5 years working as a property management company where she's learned how to manage office invoices and the professional culture of an office place. Nami also is currently working for a store in our local mall where she handles customer service and works with loss prevention. All of these life experiences have greatly allowed Nami to develop the many professional qualities that she currently displays. She's a great addition to any team. In addition to the above-mentioned accomplishments, Nami was selected this year to be one of our high school student ambassadors. Nami's voice is also the student voice that you hear each and every day on our student announcements. In every way, Nami positively represents our school. She's ready for the next step in her academic career. She's been challenged with rigorous coursework and has gained many skills: communication, collaboration, global awareness through our Global Studies program. You can be confident that Nami will make a difference in college. I highly recommend her for a scholarship. Powerful. Thank you.
Mr. Superintendent, if I may add to that, I had the chance to interview her about 3 weeks ago, and she is in line to get a full 4-year tuition-free college scholarship.
That's huge. Wow. Wow. Now, this next award is a special recognition award. This was not something that we usually give out, but we heard about Jason Johnson. Is Jason here?
Jay Sean.
Jay Sean. I'm sorry. Thank you. Jay Sean. You know, when I saw you in the front row, I knew it had to be you. All right. Come up so I can read about you. Right here. Because you're going to say something afterwards. All right. You don't have to, but anybody want him to say? They all want to. All right. Okay. All right. This award is absolutely incredible. The Board of Education congratulates 10th grader, say his name again, Mom. Jay Sean, that's what I said, yeah. Jay Sean Johnson on being selected to a leadership role in the prestigious Cincinnati Symphony Youth Concert Orchestra. In addition, Jay Sean is the recipient of the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra Scholarship, in which a CSO musician will give him private lessons for the remainder of his high school career. Wow. Absolutely. All right, make up something. Whatever you say, we will love it. I can feel it. All right.
Tell us, what's your
Yes.
instrument?
I play the viola.
Viola.
All right.
And I'm wanting to go to college for musical education and become a orchestra director.
Wow. How do you feel, Mr. Torres? Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. All right. Thank you again. Mr. Al Sugarwater.
Congratulations.
This is the Community Spirit Award. And you need to listen a little bit about all the stuff that the Kiwanis Club does. The Green Hills Forest Park Kiwanis Club, in existence since 1954, has been a faithful supporter of the Winton Woods City School for many years. It sponsors the Board of Education's monthly Character is Key and Student of the Month Awards. Kiwanis is also a sponsor of the Winton Woods High School Key Kiwanis Educating Youth Club, which participates in community service projects such as Habitat for Humanity, Free Store Food Bank, and Crayons to Computers. Additionally, the Girls on the Run, which is an after-school running club at Winton Woods Intermediate School and teaches girls about good nutrition and healthy choices, is sponsored by the Kiwanis. The club members give countless hours of time and energy for fundraising activities for which all money raised goes back to the community. In 2013, a $1,500 donation of time and carpentry went to the Winton Woods Middle School for its auditorium stage reconstruction. Furthermore, Kiwanis, out of its own foundation, awards scholarships every year to students living in the Winton Woods school districts. There are many other ways in which the Kiwanis Club supports Winton Woods, too numerous to name completely. The Board of Education is deeply grateful to the Green Hills Forest Park Kiwanis Club for its many years of service to our students, staff, and community. Thank you for being our partner for the sake of children in our district.
I would just like to thank the board for this award. We're just so proud to be associated with Winton Woods, and I'll tell you, when we get together with other Kiwanis Club, we brag about this district all the time. So thank you so much. This means a lot to us coming from the board. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. That concludes my awards, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Maybe some of our awardees coming in. Jeanette.
I read a dissertation about you, and everybody clapped and applauded, and there was money and all kinds of stuff. The money's gone. Yeah, you missed the money, but that's okay. We want you to tell us a little bit about all of your accomplishments and why you do what you do.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
As I said before, my name is Nami Lee. I am a student with the AGS program. I've been, let me give a little background. The AGS program is the Academy of Global Studies. What we do is we partner with Asian Society and New Tech Network, and we do projects based on the world and like how to see other people's perspectives. Other than that, I also manage the football team. I'm with the student ambassadors this year. I was in student council, but with everything else that I do, it's a little bit too much. I also work at Justice in the Mall and Route 21. I make pretty decent grades. No complaints right now. That's about it.
There's only one. You manage who?
The football team.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about that. Some work. All right, okay. All right. Ms. Burns? Ms. Burns is going to take a nice picture with you.
All right. On behalf of the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education in the Green Hills Forest Park, Kiwanis. I present this certificate to Naomi Lee in recognition of your selection as the Gold Star Kiwanis Student of the Month, October, Winton Woods High School, for your outstanding academic achievement, enthusiasm, and commitment to service in the community and your school district. Thank you.
Since she missed hearing about her, can't we just give her like a standing?
Thank you, Mr. Smith. For those who are so inclined, we'll take a 5-minute recess. If you'd like to leave at this time, you may feel free to do so. We will resume with public comments. We have quite a few this evening. So I'd just like to kind of make a broad blanket statement that everyone is really allotted 3 minutes to say as much as you can in those 3 minutes, so that we're not necessarily here all night, but we definitely want to hear from everyone who has a voice and has something that they want to express. First up, and please forgive me if I don't pronounce this correctly, Latia Hudson. Latia Hudson?
Well, you're close. It's an R at the end, so you have a tear.
Mr. Hudson.
About crying.
Okay.
Again, my name is Latir Hudson. I live on Embassy Drive in Forest Park, and I don't know if any additional information you need.
No.
Okay, been coming out and listening to feedback on the bond issue. So I'm here to talk about basically the reason why you would want to vote yes. I've been in the school district for some 24 years now, and I have 7 children who have all gone through the school district. 3 have graduated and have gone on to college, and 2 have graduated from college. Got 3 in the high school right now and 1 in primary school. So very ingrained in the school district. Been meeting with principals and teachers for years. But one of the things that's gotten me, and as I go around, is looking at the conditions of these buildings, not just because it's the bond issue, but because my kids go to these schools. And I've had kids that have been hurt. One was hurt pretty bad in high school, and when they came back and from a knee surgery, the accommodations for my child was just so inappropriate for them to just get around the school. And she used to call me and say, "Dad, this is just not right. Why I can't even get to class?" And they did the best they could, but her classes were all over the building. So that was a circumstance that really, painted a picture for me. But then to know that I have other kids coming through there, and these buildings are old. But when I think about people in the school district and how they would vote on this issue, I have a vested interest. Some here may not have a vested interest. And because they don't, it will sway the decision of which way they vote. You can make it black and white and say it's all about the numbers, and we can play the numbers game here right now. But to know that we're going to get some new schools out of this, and how that affects the effects that it will have not only on the school district, on the kids, their motivation to come to school, but also on the companies and the district overall, to be able to use your schools for other purposes, multi-purpose. We're really painting a really good picture for people who would desire to come to this community. So I don't want to go beyond my time if I'm close, but I'm just really saying we need to do something, and you got to do it soon, or else you're going to have to do it, and it's going to be very painful. It's already painful, but we got to do something. We got to do it now.
Thank you, sir. Alejandro Sanchez.
Good evening. My name is Alejandra Sanchez, and I have 3 kids in the district. I have one in high school. I have another one in elementary school, and my youngest one, she will start kindergarten next year. And I'm here because I just want to talk about a little bit what the sir, he already talked about. We need new schools, and not only because our kids, it's for our community too. I live here for almost 11 years, so my kids grow up here, and my Karen, she's in 10th grade, and she's been in the music program for 5 years. And that is a big thing, that we need new schools, we need new facilities so they can be enjoying more what they're doing right now. I'll be there, I'll be in the high school. They don't have like a big, like the music salon, they don't have it. They don't have enough room, and I don't think they deserve that, because I think our orchestra is really good, our choir group is really good, and they deserve more than that. And I'm thinking about my little ones. They want to do that too, and I think that we really need new schools. We really need it, and I heard a lot of people, they don't want new schools, or they say they send their kids to private school. If you live here, why you want to spend money and send your kids to a private school if we can have better buildings, you know? So I really hope people come out on next Tuesday, I guess it's November 4, and vote yes for issue 3. And I guess that's it.
Thank you. Thad Willard.
No, I'm not going to discuss the bond issue. I think my views are pretty well known on that, and I've stated publicly. What I'm here to discuss tonight is gifted students. And I've given every one of you a handout. And really, I got some information from Randy Seymour. I requested it. He gave it to me as far as your annual reports to the state of Ohio for the last 4 years on gifted students. It's a mandatory annual report that school systems have to make, not just Winton Woods, but everyone in the state of Ohio. And going through the reports, I really was kind of depressed and discouraged, because I feel that perhaps you're underreporting some of your gifted children. The numbers don't seem to add up with what I would normally expect from a school system this size. Now, obviously, some of the students, the best ones, are going to private schools or homeschooled because they have objections because of the academic atmosphere here, whatever. But taking that into consideration, that still doesn't excuse the fact I think we are underreporting it. And what concerns me about that, the most likely students to get underreported that are gifted are probably minority students. And we can't afford to lose any gifted students, regardless of what their origins are. And in fact, the Ohio Revised Code is set out, and the legislature is determined that you've got to treat these people, gifted people, separately, because our national security depends on it. It's just not nice to have. No one says a word when you spend a lot of money on disability and disabled children. No, they should, and they shouldn't say anything, because that's the right thing to do. It's also the right thing to do to take care of some of the ones that perhaps a little bit ahead of the game that will get jobs for me and maybe cures for cancer down the road. And looking at your figures, not only is it underreported, you're underserved. Because looking at your own figures, it would appear that only in the last year, 6.83% of your gifted children are actually being served. You've identified, according to your own figures, 366 gifted children in the whole system. Total served this year, according to your own figures, is 25. And of that, that comes out to 6.83%. That is, quite frankly, pathetic. Because the Ohio Revised Code sets out what you're supposed to do with these kids. I assume you're getting some money from the state to handle these gifted children. And if you're not, you should be. And setting up programs for them. Because quite frankly, I heard they just spent about $30,000 for weight room for the football team. No problem with that. They need it. But also money has to be spent on the other spectrum, the people that have to use their minds for a living. So I really think that you could look into it. You're supposed to have a district plan for services for gifted students. I assume you have it. I suggest all of you dust it off and read it and see if you're really following it. Because there's a lot of things this revised code says you can do. And it doesn't seem like you're doing it. Although I've heard otherwise from the parents. So either the parents are correct and the report is inaccurate, or there's a combination of two. Either way, it should be corrected. The only thing I will say, though, as far as the campaign going on, there has been some...
To be fair to everyone, Thad, we're about 40 seconds past your 3 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say one thing as far as this campaign. There's been some vandalism of signs of people opposed to the bond issue, and that's not a healthy thing. And there's also been reports of people from the administration going around photographing signs that are opposing the bond issue in yards. That is also, as they say in the White House when something like that happens, it's bad optics, because some people may improperly consider that voter intimidation. I don't think it was intended.
So, Mr. Willard, thank you. I appreciate all of your comments. Thank you. Maria Walther.
Hi, I came back to ask for the request of what is the criteria for the 2 allowed credits for religion that the governor had signed and put into effect on 9/11 of 2014. I asked this before. I wanted to find out what was the criteria of how was it going to be taught, what the degree the person providing that would be, and I still have not heard or seen a list of items, criteria, how you're going to choose that and how is that going to be handled. Remind you that there is no cost to you involved in there. The student will have to provide his own transportation there and back to the school in order to receive these 2 elective credits. And as I said, it has been signed and it was effective as of 9/11 of 2014. And it was also approved by the State Department of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walther. Rochelle Prater.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
This evening, I would like to just discuss a little bit about strategic plans and exactly what my observations have been, and I have some comments. First of all, for the sake of the audience, I would like to just explain and define what a strategic plan is. Strategic planning is the organization's process of defining its strategy or direction and making decisions on allocating its resources to pursue this strategy. It may also extend to control mechanism for guiding the implementation of the strategy. So I bring this up because I think on the last board meeting I was watching at home, and I was quite frankly thinking proactively what I like to do is demonstrate. The report card that was put together and demonstrated by the district was actually 53 pages long. Again, 53 pages, whereas the actual state report card was only 23 pages long. And I say this because what that report card did, quite frankly, was it provided about 80% of the materials and the foundation for a great strategic plan. For example, on page 13 of that report card talked about, I apologize, page 12 of the report talked about progress versus performance. And it was a graphic on that page that just showed where the gaps was in the progress and where we were and where the district was and where the resources was. And it showed how so much of the resources had been spent, and I think it was even shared at one of the meetings that Dr. Smith had did actually over in the auditorium when he was talking about how people have been volunteering with the students, the lowest 20% and so forth, and the students with disabilities. Well, the progress for that group of students was fairly high. It was a B. However, when we got down to the gifted, as well as the rest of the population of the K-8 students, especially with the gifted had a C. So I noticed, I looked back at the report prior to that, and they were at a B year before last, and then the rest of the students were actually at the bottom of the barrel with an F. So again, that graphic says a lot. It gave the impression that the district is struggling with being able to, if you will, to chew gum and walk at the same time. The other thing on page 13.
And I'm going to have to ask you to
Okay,
really get to your
no problem.
final point.
Page 13 was the achievement gap. Okay, and if you look at it, it's real clear, and Mr. Cleary has said some time ago about there's an issue with race in the district, and that's clearly talked about that. So, in conclusion, strategic plans will eliminate excuses, focus on education reform, eliminate the personal attacks, both on your side and the public side, your stakeholder side, as well as focus on measurable results. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Linda McIntyre.
Good evening.
Good
Thank
evening.
you very much for allowing me to speak. My name is Linda McIntyre. I've been a resident of Winton School District since 1973. Long time. I have a license as a certified real estate appraiser, and as an appraiser, I highly recommend replacing the existing school facilities for the following reasons. And this is from an appraiser point of view. One of the primary factors in determining value is schools. That's in any community. You look at schools. Schools have an enormous impact on valuation, to the extent that neighborhoods can either lead or they can lag compared to competing neighborhoods. We've had a very recent paradigm shift, open enrollment. Open enrollment and new schools being built throughout Ohio has created more competition than we've ever seen. It's a fact that there are new schools in almost all of the communities surrounding Winton Woods. I think if school facilities represent anything in real estate, they represent curb appeal. Curb appeal to a community, not unlike well-kept homes, represent good curb appeal to a street or a neighborhood. Outdated designs that invite security breaches, in need of repairs that present safety hazards, delayed maintenance is not good curb appeal, any more than overgrown grass, broken sidewalks, or peeling paint is in a residential neighborhood. I'm sure you will agree that one of the quickest ways to turn off a potential buyer is to present a home without good curb appeal and ask them to pay the same rate as you would for one that has good curb appeal. It's logical that they won't. One of the things that keeps Winton Woods in the position that we are in now, where our property values are stagnant, is to do something about our schools. And if we take the time to do good curb appeal, we can, one, attract people to come to Winton Woods. And in doing that, it leads value, updates value to everybody. So oftentimes in real estate, even in historic communities, you have potential homeowners who will ponder, should I build or should I replace this old home? And oftentimes it comes down to dollars and cents. So if you look at some of the historic communities real close to us, you'll find that some people have built new homes that look exactly like the old homes, but it's much more economical to replace them than to repair them. So I would like to close with my 2 cents as a resident and say, as a longtime resident, most of us don't agree with some of the money that they take away from us in taxes. We don't know where it goes, we don't know how it's spent, and oftentimes we don't agree with how it's spent. But all of the money that's spent on replacing these schools, you can see it, you can even touch it, because you know exactly where your money is spent. Thanks so much, and I do support issue 3.
Jack Lee.
Good evening, Board, Mr. Smith, Mr. Seymour. My name is Jack Lee, Junedale Drive in Green Hills. Please pardon my prepared remarks. Benjamin Franklin is credited with the statement that in this world nothing can be said to be certain except for death and taxes. And I'm quite certain that we all agree on one thing, that one of those options is much more preferable than the other. But I'm also very certain that no one wishes to pay higher taxes. My 2 children received an excellent education at Winton Woods and have gone on to made their old man quite proud. Who do I thank for that educational basis? Their teachers, of course. But that education had to happen in some venue. Someone more than 60 years ago sacrificed treasure to build what was then Beechwood Elementary, now Primary North. And 50 years ago, for the middle school, formerly Green Hills High School, and Winton Woods High School, formerly Forest Park High School. You see, in spite of having, I'm sure, quite sure, the same complaint of too high of taxes, as everything is relative back in the 1950s and 60s to today, the community at that time saw fit to pay it forward, to see that my kids and your kids had a place to come to school long before our families moved to Green Hills over 30 years ago. Now that same type of decision has been thrust upon us. While some wish to delay the decision to turn around in a state report card standings as if to earn a new building, that can't happen and still have the $33 million in state matching funds. The state of Ohio only allows a district, once your name comes up on the match list, to delay the bond request like this for so long before they retract the money and give it to someone else. No more delays. This district had to take it to the voters now and must pass it within a certain time period. Use it or lose it. What's before us is a fixed cost answer to a facilities problem that's beyond a couple of roof leaks. The classrooms are not up to snuff in room, storage, climate control, and power. Hallways are too narrow for safety reasons, and the bills to operate the buildings are way too high. This isn't my opinion. It's the state of Ohio and the current school building and safety codes, which we clearly do not currently meet. $76 million of local money is a ton of money, but it's a fixed amount. Taking advantage of the $33 million match is a bargain compared to the patch and renovation method of all local money of $68 million, which is measured in today's dollars, but spread over 15 to 20 years is much more in future dollars. We would still have classrooms that are too small, hallways too narrow, and plenty of other issues. New buildings save $1.5 million a year the day the doors open. There would seem to be no real operational savings in renovation due to the number of buildings involved. I don't want to pay $30 a month, but something needs to be done. The bond is a better financial option. It is a fixed cost that saves money in the long run, and it pays it forward for the future generations to come. I support the bond initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Dale Highdotting.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm a resident of this district for 73 years. So I was born and raised here. Graduate of Green Hills High School, as is my wife and my 3 children. 2 of my children have gone on to get their PhDs, and they've all graduated from college, and that's because we have a wonderful system here. Now, I would like to talk really about the future. If you all look at that sign up there, it says ensuring all students achieve their highest potential. That's the number one thing we've got to do in order to get the rest done. The second thing is to take that sign and saying that all communities within our district achieve their highest potential. If you look at the schools, the possibilities are fantastic. The new schools. Right now we cram the education into an existing building. The new schools can be much more flexible, and we can tailor the building to the education. And that's the right way to go. The new buildings have to be more flexible with better spaces for special uses. And the other big advantage is if we have the pre-K 6 building and the 7-12 as proposed, they're on 2 different campuses. If your child is a bright student, he can move forward. If say he's a 3rd grader, if he's able to do 4th grade math, we can have special spaces to make that happen. If he's having trouble in English, we can have spaces to make that happen more effectively. So the kids can find their own path to get to the end. I'd like for kids in 9th grade to be taking AP courses if they're able. So the key to this too is if they can take more AP, they save some of their college expenses or future education. Our kids in the future have to, they have to be more adapt to change than we have ever been. Their careers have to be able to switch, move. Things that the rate of change is fantastic right now. So, and it's going to increase. So I want them to better prepared to be able to have several paths to get to the end. If they can get there sooner, that's great, and go on to something further. That's the goal. At the same time, I think it's an impetus to us. These will improve, these new facilities will improve the 3 communities. We don't appreciate the resource we have. We have 3 different governments. We have a park in our district. That's like an environmental studies just waiting to happen. All kinds of, we have more resources. We're close to the expressway. You know, we've got things that we can, if we get together, we can make us the best damn district in Ohio. No kidding. Because it's just that all we have to do is start with we instead of us and them, and get it all together. And it's not that tough. So once we get started, but we want to keep the identity of each community. So if we get together and say, hey, we can do this, and we may be one of a kind, we may be one of a kind with the campus plans, but this thing can fly. So I obviously am for the bond issue. So even though I have no vested interest. I mean, my kids are gone, my grandkids are gone. So anyway, so I hope you all will consider it for that very reason. It'll be such a boom to us all. So thank you for listening. And
thank you.
Donita Jackson.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Donita Jackson, and I'm a resident of Forest Park. I've been a resident for over 32 years. I'm a graduate of Forest Park High School, and I still live in the district, obviously. I have 2 sons, both of whom were students within the district. They are not currently students in the district. I am in support, even though my children are not a part of the school system, of the bond issue. I spoke with someone who is a retired counselor, administrator in Three Rivers School System. They are a school that recently had a new building. Their building is a K-12 model. I asked her, what are some of the benefits that you noticed in your district as a result of the new building? They too had monies set aside for them, like the $33 million that could be given to us. Some of the things that she talked about was the enhanced sense of pride that came with the buildings, that there was a committee that was comprised of community members, staff, personnel, and parents. And so each person had a vested interest in what happened in the buildings. What I've heard about the proposed buildings is that there would be community center, community place spaces that the community use. And in Forest Park, since we do not have a community center, I think that would be a beneficial portion. And then also vested. As Dale mentioned, the separate communities within Winton Woods. In 1988-89, I was the president of student council at Forest Park High School. I worked with Mr. Marcoux, who was the president of Green Hills High School, and our task was to get together and get the students' feelings, what was going on with the students, what did we see as positives, because the board was telling us that our schools were going to need to merge. Of course, there was a lot of tension, a lot of anger, because of loss of landmarks. So when I asked a woman at Three Rivers, thinking about the history in your district, she said what they did was they tried to make some concessions. So for example, one of the flagpoles was moved into the new building. There's a hill, if you've ever played football, I've not played football, but there's a hill in Taylor, and some people were concerned about that hill, that's gonna be gone. And they're, as a committee, talking about how can we bring some of the old into the new. It's all about change. We're always in a constant state of change. I don't wanna pay anymore, but this is my community, and these are our kids. When I drive down the street and I see those little children, or I see those older children, those are our children, and this is our community. And they deserve to be in a school that is adequate, that is safe, that has correct lighting, that has everything that they need. I work in a school system that has several resources just because of where those children live. I think our children also deserve the best. Thank you.
My final yellow sheet tonight, Charlie Adams.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We're the Adams family. We have 3 kids in the district. We live on Longacre. We've been in the district for 7 years, and I just want you all to meet my reasons. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Star. I go to Winton Woods Middle School.
Play the violin.
And
Tell them.
And I'm in the 7th grade.
What do you love about Winton Woods?
The different classes I get to take.
What do you think about your teachers?
They're teachers.
Come here. Get up here, buddy. What's your name?
Andre.
What's your last name?
Adams.
What grade are you in?
2nd.
What school do you go to?
Primary South.
And what do you love about your school? Feed it, kid. Now this is Alexander. And how old are you, Alex?
4.
And what grade are you in?
Kindergarten.
What school are you in?
Primary South.
Alexander tested in early this year. His birthday is in November. He had extremely high scores. He is very, very bright. We think he is on that list that you were talking about, Mr. Dad. And we just think that if we had new facilities, if we had a better school, if we had, would just bring a different staff in. And we would be able to accommodate all of these different grades. And, I'm in this for a much longer time. I'm here for a long time. So the condition we're in right now is already unacceptable. So by the time this one graduates, I don't know what we'll have left. But we love it here, and we want to stay. These are our reasons. These are our reasons, right, honey? Thank you.
Thank you.
future.
I want to thank everyone who took some time out of your evening to come and express whatever it was, whatever the topic was, whether it was the bond issue or anything else. As a board perspective, we appreciate hearing from the community, not just necessarily when things blow up, but really just hearing what you think and how you feel. And so this is always a part of the agenda every board meeting for public comments. So even beyond November 4th, if there are things that are of concern to you or that you just want to share with us, this is always a part of the agenda. So please feel free. Don't make this your last board meeting to come to. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
People may want to.
That is true. So let me take another 2-minute recess so that those of you who may want to leave after your comments may feel free to do so. We will resume. 5.01 meeting minutes.
Madam President, I move that we accept the minutes of September the 15th, September the 22nd, October the 13th, and October the 20th.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Hearing none, Mr. Seymour?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye.
Mr. Pennicutt?
Aye.
Mr. Cleary?
Aye.
Mrs. Burns?
Aye. Treasurer's report.
Yes, we basically have finished the first quarter of the year with total revenues to date of $15.4 million and total expenditures to date of around $14.3 million. Basically, the district is still on target with their budget for the first quarter of the year. Mrs. O'Connor and I tried to work on some graphs to present to you this evening about this, but I've decided to hold off on presenting those at this time. So unless you have any questions, the first quarter is pretty nothing extraordinary in the financial world for the first quarter.
Any questions? And we will refer those to audit.
And for your interest for the month of September was $2,580, and we had a roughly approximately $21 million invested at 0.03 to 0.0045%, up $40 from last month.
Wow. Yes. Amazing. Do I hear a motion for approval of the investment report?
So moved.
Second. Heard a motion and a second. Any questions?
Thanks for that extra $40.
You're welcome.
Mr. Seymour?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye.
Mr. Pennicutt?
Aye.
Mr. Cleary?
Aye.
Mrs. Burns?
Aye. Reports of the superintendent.
Madam President, one thing I'd like for the board and the audience to consider and remember, many of these events that are taking place take place after school hours. And so I'd like to point out a few events that are going to take place that you guys would be very excited to attend. One is that's going to happen at the ES building is Lunch with a Hero. I'd like to really see that, see how it works. I'm sure Dr. Johnson will probably be featured in that one. November 18th is Celebration of Nations. And the upcoming school event, now this one is very exciting, at the IS building. It's the Eco Warrior meeting, but it's building solar ovens. That should be exciting. And then at the middle school is a cultural fair and humanities awareness. And then finally, some of the exciting events in the high school is there's a fantastic play coming up, fall play, You Can't Take It With You. Not quite sure what that means, but I'm sure someone will tell us. And then the Winton Woods High School National Honor Society. So all these events are usually listed just for your review, but there are some special ones that just kind of catch your eye. And here's the thing that makes it exciting. The students and the staff would be very, very excited to see board members attend, as well as the population, the community in general. So, thank you.
Mr. Smith, for our audience, do you have the date of the play?
Yes, the date of the play. You can take it with you. That's November 20th to the 22nd, and it's in the Winton Woods High School. Show time is 8 o'clock sharp.
Thank you.
And Mr. Superintendent, before you leave that topic, thank you for highlighting the things for the board. I wanted to highlight some things for parents.
Thank you.
Not buried in there, but listed in there are upcoming teacher conference dates. And teachers say over and over, the very parents that they want to talk to are the ones that don't come. That their child could benefit from a chat with mom or dad or grandma or whoever with their teacher. And I see teachers in the audience nodding vigorously. So I'm going to take 30 more seconds to highlight the dates that I hope parents who are watching this over the next couple of weeks will take advantage for their students, give their students the benefit of their presence. At the intermediate school, November the 3rd in the afternoon, a 3.5-hour block of time for parents of intermediate school. Middle school, October the 30th, another 3.25-hour block. And the high school on November the 3rd, a 7.5-hour block. Hopefully, parents, you can find some time to meet with your child's teacher during that time. And at the elementary school, November the 3rd, all day. Hopefully you will take advantage of that time frame for your youngsters.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, 8.02.
Dr. Holden? Dr. Holden's going to give us information about ACT, AP, college and career readiness. And then there is another special guest that's going to give you some exciting information.
Two guests.
Two guests that's going to give you some exciting information of where we're going with our ACT. And remind me to say something else about it because of how it's been created. Thank you.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
I would like to talk to you about, give you the annual report about AP, Advanced Placement, and ACT at Winton Woods High School. So I am going to start just with a listing of our current advanced placement courses that we offer at Winton Woods High School. And I must say, because I've been around, this is a considerable list for a school our size. So AP Studio Art Drawing, AP English Language and Composition, Literature and Composition, English Literature and Composition, AP Calculus. This year we have both AP Calculus AB and AP Calculus BC. I'm going to tell you that indeed is rare for a school our size. AP United States Government.
The difference in the two?
The difference in the two? You're talking to an English major. The difference in the two, sir, is that BC actually goes further in depth than AB does. So students take AB first, and then they would take, if they took it for their second year, they would take BC. AP US Government and Politics, AP US History. This year is the first year for AP Human Geography, and then AP Physics 1. So again, that's a considerable list. Okay, so over 5 years, this is the breakdown of the number of AP students we had and the number of exams. So that's not an exact match, as you can imagine, because one student may take multiple courses and multiple exams. The orange, if you can see that, is the number of students who scored a 3 or better, and then the percent of total AP students with a score of 3 or better. So you can see as we go further each year, certainly our enrollment in AP courses is up. In fact, we've more than doubled our AP enrollment since 2011. Our scores above 3, not gone up as much as we would wish, but the first step is enrollment.
Dr. Holden, is it okay to ask questions?
Sure.
Is every student required to take the AP test, or do we have students that take AP?
Okay, so that's an excellent question. If you are in the traditional school and you're in an AP class, we require you to do that. We require you to take the test. Now, there's a fee, 80 something. If you are in the Academy of Studies, we don't require you to take the test, and the reason we don't require you to take the test is we absolutely force you to take the class. So it's kind of flipped. If you're in the traditional school, you sign up to take the class. You don't have to take the class if you don't want to. But if you do choose that, you're also choosing the test. Because I'm forcing your hand, or was forcing your hand, and now it's Mr. Martin, in AGS, we give you an out in terms of the test.
I don't mean to segue off your report, but
right.
since there's a cost to that, is that an impediment for any students that say, I don't take the class because there's an additional $80 fee that's associated?
In addition to what you just mentioned, Mr. Cleary, we're going to use the PSAT as another assessment tool, because the PSAT is usually a predictor of how you may do on an AP course.
Okay.
So every child takes that test.
And there's a cost to that as well. Are we taking care?
That's
We pick up the PSAT.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, the district this year covered the PSAT cost for both sophomores and juniors.
Okay, thank you.
So over the past 5 years, these have been our most successful courses. So we've had 42 three-year bettors in AP English Language, 31 in AP US History, 29 in AP English Lit, and then 25 in Calculus. So this year, all AP teachers are being sent to professional development by the College Board. It's put on by the College Board. So it's a 2-day piece. We've been able to get it relatively close, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and it's always offered at a university. So that's good for them because they can interact with AP teachers from other schools in other cities and states. They can learn what's kind of new research in good instruction, particularly for AP classes, because those are different classes. I mean, there's not a lot of creativity. It's a college syllabus. You move very quickly. So it's a good way for them to grow themselves so that they can help grow students. But they will all be attending training in the fall. I would hope with Mr. Smith's blessing next year to be able to start sending some of our honors teachers, because those are feeders. And so that PD is pretty good.
Dr. Holden, is that a change in what change historically? Have we always done
This is the first
PD
time
for AP?
This is the first time in my time here that we've sent teachers. They have done it in the past. It used to be offered at Xavier University, one-day sessions that were very convenient. The College Board stopped offering them several years ago, and I think that stopped offering them quite so close. So it's always a decision when you have to go to Illinois or Iowa to get College Board training. But it is a change. Okay, so I'd like to spend a few minutes as I transition between AP and ACT and talk about prepared for success. This is a new indicator on the Ohio Local Report Card. So it has all of these categories on it, and I just want to go over them with you quickly so that you understand why our AP program is important and why our ACT program is important. So for the report card, we are going to be judged on all of these characteristics. So ACT participation and SAT participation, it's the same. We have many more students take the ACT. It's typically more a Midwest test than the SAT, but we do have some students who take both. But on this indicator, one criteria is participation in the ACT and SAT. So ODE is looking for a large percentage of students participating. Here's a little bit of a rub, and that's all student reported. So we have to do a lot of work on our end to tell students, please, please, please check that you go to Winton Woods High School, that you want your data to be reported. to Winton Woods High School, because most of our kids take this test on Saturdays. We are not there with them. So I wanted to make sure everyone was aware that is a self-report by student. The next two categories are ACT remediation free. So the Ohio Department of Education has issued, along with the College Board and ACT, scores that they call remediation free. That means if a student earns that score or higher, they should be able to walk into college courses and not have to take any kind of remedial or developmental courses, typically like what we would have thought of at the old University of Cincinnati University College, for example. So those are some parts of Prepared for Success, but there's more. Percentage of students earning an honors diploma. We've always had that, and we have a small but decent number of students that earn an honors diploma, and that's a whole set of other criteria. Percent of students earning an industry recognized credential. That honestly would be for our students who attend Scarlet Oaks, where they do very nice work in the vocational area. Advanced placement participation. So this is over 4 years. What's the percentage of students that earn credit for at least one course? So as director of curriculum, when I see that, what I think is everybody has to take an AP course. Because then I can say, I have 100% on that part of the Prepared for Success indicator. Now that's different from the score. So participation in the class, which has its own benefits just by participation, and then can you earn an AP score of 3 or better? And then finally, dual enrollment credit, the percentage of students earning at least 3 dual enrollment credits during grades 9 through 12. So all of those together become the Prepared for Success indicator that is reported on our local report card.
And to add to the board, if you notice where Dr. Holden mentioned student participation, if you look at any studies across the country from any state, students that participate in AP courses, even though their scores may be low, do much better. They're better prepared for college. There's data everywhere that supports that. So the participation is connected with rigor.
So Dr. Holden, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I want to go back to the ACT and SAT remediation free.
Mhm.
Did we gather that information before at all? Were we ever tracking anything like that before this?
You mean the percentage of students that take it?
Or how many actually scored well enough that they did not require any remediation?
You know, they've never really come out with a remediation-free score. That's pretty recent. What they have come out with is a benchmark, a readiness benchmark score, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Okay.
And that might answer your question.
Yeah, Madam President, the other variables, not just the state of Ohio, but every state, especially with the College Board, they put 3 major variables in there. First-generation students, students of color, and then they also put they did a mix and match between male and female. So there are socioeconomic conditions that go along with that, as well as the first generation children. So some of our kids have all 3 criteria. And so the state is now saying it won't give you an advantage or a disadvantage in college, but it does say that we've recognized it. And so that's the other reason why you hear this other plan that Dr. Holden has been so just incredibly clever about putting into place.
And if I can piggyback, I think, Rochelle's still here. So if I can piggyback on something that she brought up earlier about strategic planning. When I look at all of the different things that kind of play into Prepared for Success, and you look at our landscape, are there any of these that we seem to need to work on more so than the others? Some of them we already have and we can check them off, and others we've got more work to do.
I think we're already doing all of them to some degree. I'll talk about a plan that we have that's addressing the remediation free and just the general performance on ACT. Dual enrollment credit, quite honestly, Madam President, that would require an entire meeting because the state has completely, absolutely changed the landscape on that. And so it's actually a program called College Credit Plus. So what I think that will do is it will significantly increase our the number of students we have doing dual credit, or what used to be called post-secondary enrollment options. So, but yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so our 5-year score summary with the columns with the data labels, that is last year, and I'm happy to say, I'm unhappy to say that we're still below the state average, but I'm happy to say that we have improved in every category, just from last year.
One other piece, some states will look different simply because they only test a percentage of their children. We are just being very transparent where we want to test all of our kids. So some states will test 72% and their percentage may be different, but we don't care. We're going to test all of the kids and we will get better.
So, and you can see we have stronger areas than others. The English is a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a difficult part of the ACT, but overall scores have increased from last year in every category, each subset as well as the composite.
Dr. Holden, is there something that you could point to specifically and say, this is specifically what we did different from the prior year, is what the indicator is as to why that occurred? Or is it just coincidental?
I
Or is
think
it too
we
soon to
well,
know?
I think we had some ACT prep courses that were we had the Envision program, the boot camp, that was self-selected by students, so you had to volunteer on weekends. And then we had some ACT courses in English and math that had relatively low enrollment, but so I don't know if that had any impact. Yeah, I can't point to one thing in particular.
It's too soon to know.
For that year.
Okay.
But when I'm here next year telling you this, I'll absolutely be able to point to something. So. Okay, so Mrs. Burns, in terms of the readiness and the benchmark data, here is how this reads. I only gave you ACT, but if you're interested, I can certainly give you SAT. So what you have in bold on the blue columns, that is Winton Woods High School compared to the state of Ohio. So this is the percentage of students meeting the readiness or benchmark data. So here's what benchmark score is, the readiness benchmark. It is a 50% chance of getting a B or a 75% chance of getting a C in the college equivalent class. So the English readiness benchmark of 18 means if you get that or above, you have a 50% chance of getting a B or a 75% chance of getting a C in your English classes in college.
But please keep in mind, the state of Ohio only tests 72% of their students. So for some of the students who've already indicated, I'm not interested in college, they opt out for the test. We are encouraging kids not to opt out. We don't want any student to opt out. The state of Illinois has become much better with ACT than any other state, especially with students of color, because they've been using it for about 15 years. And their students are now rising to the occasion. Their goal is to test 100% of their students in the state every year.
And you also see the remediation free score, and you note that it's not exactly the same for reading. It's 1 point lower than the benchmark readiness score, and there is no remediation free score for science, nor do they give a composite. It's by subtest.
Nor are there any remedial courses in science in college.
It's a science. So here is just another split, as Mr. Smith mentioned, by gender. And in terms of how our students meet the benchmark scores, the college readiness benchmark scores, by gender compared to the state of Ohio. And you can see that for both our males and females, we're considerably less. And distressing to me is our females are even more so. You know, I think sometimes folks talk and they might expect it in science and math, but it's also in English and reading. So really, I mean, across the board. And so if you look at the all four, percentage of students meeting all four college readiness benchmark scores, 9% of our females. So that's a little disturbing.
But we have a plan.
We do.
Okay, because I was going to
Yes.
kind of lead to
Yeah.
my question.
Absolutely.
Do we have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
clue why and what we're going to do about it?
For science, I think having been an English teacher and in high school administration for 16 years, it's the exception still, rather than the rule, that females take higher level math and science courses. You might find different individual schools where that's not the norm, but in general,
The other
that is the
case
case.
That I think that the public needs to understand, the students do well on the ACT, but when they struggle with the vocabulary, it slows them down, and it is a time test. So if you're struggling with passages and reading the passage over 3 or 4 times, it's basically where you have to answer a question almost every minute in order to finish the test. So when you ask students after the test, how did you do? And some of them will say, I didn't finish, but I was doing okay.
Mr. Superintendent, I would be interested if we could find a way to examine our, excuse me for interrupting your presentation, but this has triggered a thought, this disparity between our female and our male students. These are high school scores, but those attitudes got set back someplace. Middle school, elementary school, intermediate school, at home, whatever. How does our culture continue to perpetuate this attitude for our female students that science is not for them, math is not within reach? It obviously is, but our North American culture perpetuates this.
Right.
I would be curious if at some point we can analyze our own culture and see if we are doing something back in grade whatever
Right.
that we can change so that 5 years from now, that looks different.
Right.
Well, Mr. Pennycuff, one of the things that I know that we've already changed, and Ms. Henson's going to give you an overview, we now have students talking about they like ACT prep. They like preparing for the ACT. That didn't exist before. So that's already a paradigm shift that I'm very, very proud of. Dr. Johnson, Ms. Miranda, yourself, and both of the other board members, Mr. Pennycuff and Mr. Cleary, we've all had the pleasure of having lunch with the superintendent. I didn't prepare it, but you know what I mean. And one of the things that you hear students talk about is the ACT prep course. And I know in the beginning people thought, were these kids prepared for this? No, they came in cold with the questions, and they're saying, I love the ACT prep course. Now, I don't know how you guys did in college, and I know you were all successful because you're up here, but I do want to make a point. Students don't talk about loving an ACT prep course. That's just not the way.
But they are.
But they are talking about loving an ACT prep course.
Yeah.
So you know the attitude is half the battle, right? Okay.
Mr. Smith, I have a question. I'm sorry, Dr. Holden as well, and it is related. You know, last month we looked at the test scores, and I had made a comment. And one, I appreciate that you do this in such a timely manner that the board has 4 or 5 days to to look at the report, and we have time to research other data. Last month, I made the comment that there's a pretty definitive study in Ohio, and it's really across the country, that your percentage of income affects this, and that's not an excuse.
No, sir.
So I'm not suggesting that's an excuse. That's what we have to overcome, and that overlay. And I'm not an expert in this area, and that overlay has a racial component to it. We have to overcome those areas, and the ACT strict prep strategy is one. What other strategies are we implementing? Because there are school districts across the country that are able to overcome this. You're from another system where you were able to overcome it. And I want to keep asking the question, what are we doing different?
Well, here's the other answer, Mr. Cleary, and thank you for asking that. In the past, students that could afford to take an AC prep course were the ones taking it. That's a different attitude. If we know that there are some socioeconomic challenges in our district, why are we waiting for students to sign up for a course and pay money when they can't? So we're putting those courses in place, and usually what happens in the system, if there are things that are important, they happen after school. That's ridiculous. It should happen during the instructional day. So we're telling students it's important enough that we're putting it in your day. We're putting it on your schedule, and when you get to this point, Dr. Holden, I don't want to steal your whole report because you're doing fine. But there are some testimonials, and had I not had the opportunity to talk to seniors, this is week 10, I would probably look at these and say, who are these children? But I've met these children, and they exist, and they're our children. So instead of paying the $200 or $300 for the prep course, it's in the program. So going back to your piece about the socioeconomic challenges, we're aware, but we just wait to see if you can pay for it or not, knowing that you can. But you still go take the test. So this is a different attitude.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cleary, one more thing is in addition to that, aligned instruction, good instruction, consistent instruction from K through 12. So I think all of that, in addition to this ACT class, really helps correct these numbers. Okay, one last piece of data about our ACT, and this is from ACT we get a composite score by race and ethnicity. So the 22 I put up there is the state composite average, the state of Ohio, for 2014. So you can see, you know, our white students meet it in a couple areas, but generally, I mean, we're shy. And in the areas that, you know, we are no surprise to us given our data from previous years, but also our Hispanic students are really almost our lowest performing students on the ACT. So that tells me that not only do we have to do a better job with all kids, now that we have a growing population of
Absolutely.
Hispanic students, this is an issue we have to address. The no response, again, if you remember back when I was talking about participation rates, these are teenagers. They may not fill out. I mean, there are parts of the form they cannot complete, and it will still go through. So that's that. Okay, so in addition to our data, we get a report from ACT that says, hey, in Ohio, here's how you can improve students' college and career readiness. I've pulled out 4 things that we are doing. The rest are really state-level things. Set clear performance standards to evaluate college and career readiness. We have that. We have excellent standards that we are actually using. Support programs targeted at developing behaviors, both academic, teaching you the content, but also those David Conley know-how-to-go skills. How do you go to college? How do you succeed? How do you deal with the bursar? So we need to provide all of that for our kids. Provide all students with access to a rigorous high school core curriculum. perhaps we need to rethink our, and parents tend to support this, so this is a little shaky ground, but maybe we need to rethink all of these options that we allow kids to choose, because sometimes they choose the wrong ones, and unfortunately sometimes they choose the wrong ones with guidance. And then continue to implement monitoring and early warning systems that help us identify who's at risk and how can we correct that before they leave us. So here's what we did this year. Before I get there, I just want a public service announcement. We have 3 college and career readiness seminars. We just had one last week, and the other 2 are January 21st and April 8th. Those occur at 6:30 in the Winton Woods High School Library, so I would urge everyone to join us.
Dr. Holden?
Yes?
What was the attendance at the college?
I think we had about 40. A little disappointing. Free sessions, Mr. Al Riddick was there talking about finances for college. I've had the pleasure of hearing him. He was pretty dynamic. So hopefully folks will find it on their calendars to come next time.
Thank you.
So this year we've created a course. I brought 2 guests with me, Jennifer Henson, English teacher, and Kim Goins, high school counselor. So we've created an ACT course that I think is pretty unique, and I've been around, so I don't know that there are other schools doing this. So I'm just going to give you some general stuff about the course, and then they're going to talk specifically about their components. So we have 4 sections, 20 kids in a section. So there are 4 sections of 20 kids each semester. So over the course of the year, we will have touched 160 kids.
How many did we serve last year?
25.
Okay.
And that maybe ACT math. Yeah, nothing like this. This is new. So the way the students work, it is for 1 quarter, they're with a guidance counselor, 10 of them, and the other 10 are with Mrs. Henson, and then the second quarter, they flip. So not only do students get prep for how to take the ACT and practice, they get almost one-on-one. I mean, there's 1 counselor and 10 kids, really guidance on college. And then students take the ACT as close to the end of that as possible. So I'm going to let each of them talk about their piece, and then when they're finished, my final thing is I want to share with you some student comments. So.
Good evening. I'm one of 4 guidance counselors at the high school. Each one of us have a class. We do split, as Dr. Holden shared with you, we do split our students 10 and 10 or 8 and 9.
For a minute.
Yes.
She says the guidance teachers, the guidance counselors teach a class. Nowhere that doesn't happen. So, I'm sorry.
Okay. First quarter just ended with our students, and so now we have, Ms. Henson had the first set of students who prepared for the ACT. They just took that. So now she's going to get the students that we had last quarter and prepare them for, I believe, the December ACT. What we do as guidance counselors with our students, and we have 4 classes that we teach. I teach first bell, 8 o'clock, and then there's a 3rd bell, a 6th bell, and a 7th bell. We start out with an About Me program, which is a brochure. When we all came on board here at the high school this past year, our principal asked us to create a brochure about ourselves so that we could get to know each other better. So that's what we've asked our students to do. We give them a personal inventory survey, and they're going to do that tomorrow, about 20 questions. And they're to be as honest as possible. They're going to take that information with pictures and bring it together as a personal brochure. This will be part of their college portfolio. We all have seniors in the class. Next, we will take, and in addition to that, we will go to the computer twice a week, and because that's what we did last quarter. And we will work with our students on our Naviance program, which is our college and career readiness program that has been adopted, was adopted last year. And the students work on that. There they can research their career interests. They can also do a student interest questionnaire survey where they can create their own resume by answering a series of 18 questions that only ask for facts, their successes, things that I heard Nami Lee, the recipient earlier, she had written out things in her resume builder through this Naviance, and we were able to pull the information to present to you all this evening. So they'll do that in the computer lab. The next thing after the brochure is done, and it's supposed to be done on Friday, we will then have our college information piece, which is the students, as I said, are seniors. They are encouraged, they have been encouraged to start their college application process. They will really delve deep into one of the colleges that they've applied to, and they will do a very extensive research presentation, and there is a rubric in which we give them. But we're also adding something. They're going to have to do an outside research project with our media specialist, Michelle Sisk, regarding cyberbullying on their college campus, sexual harassment on their college campus, safety on their college campus. So that will be put into place as well. Again, once they present their college information piece, it goes into their portfolio so that they have something to take with them. One of our other areas that we will be working with the students on is the financial aid piece. And we will navigate through scholarships and the FAFSA process with the students. We will also talk about other student loans with them. We have also been able to acquire some guest speakers. We have Sergeant Hudson, who is in the Army, but he wants to bring everything together for our students. And he does. He encourages our students to take the SAT if they're able to. But he talks about college campus life, as well as, he may mention a little bit of Army, but that's not his purpose. He likes to help the students with applying to colleges. He really does, because a lot of students struggle with that process. And then he works with our students sometimes with their essays. Another area in which we will be working on which will be the last piece, will be their career search. And the students will go back through Naviance. They will do a career interest profiler, and they will just really make sure, because a lot of our students, when we're talking to them about college, they have no idea right now. They say they want to do this or that, but really, when you really talk to them one-on-one, it's like, I really don't know, but I'm doing this just because my parents think that I need to declare a major. So therefore, we encourage them to go back through the Naviance. The Naviance program, if you ever have an opportunity to get on to explore, has many different parts to it that appeal to all people, not just our high school students, but even adults. Myself, I wanted to make sure that I could be a good counselor. So I took the college profiler myself, and I'm okay, I guess, as a counselor. So basically, that's what we do. And the students seem to enjoy it. I have the 8 o'clock time frame, so some of them come in pretty sleepy. But they wake up when we start talking about things of interest, especially when we mention the colleges of their choices that they're interested in.
Many schools have a Naviance program, but this goes way beyond the scope. Usually they give you a login number and you're on your own. That's not appropriate. It should be a class where students are directed to research their future. So just giving you a password doesn't do anything. It just never works. So we ramped it up because we believe that children will do better if they're guided. So that's the plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So I want to talk a little bit about my component of the ACT prep course. And we just switched today. So the students who were leaving were excited about their test on Saturday and reported into me about that. So now I have a brand new group. All of the students are pre-tested, so I know at what level they're coming into me. And that allows me to pair them by their English ability, because I found through my work that that is the best way to pair them. English is the most, the time I spend the most on skills, punctuation and subject-verb agreement and the reading and things is more individual, the reading and the science instruction. So I can keep them paired with that person based on their English ability, even though their other test scores might be a little different. I do work with them 2-on-1. So in my class, students are given a day of the week, and that is their day that they meet with me over in the corner of my room at a private table that Mr. Smith has joined in on the instruction. He has been there. I welcome.
My score's gone up tremendously, by the way.
You're welcome to stop by and see that instruction, but they meet with me 2-on-1, 1 day a week. The other 4 days that they're not working with me, the students are seated throughout the room working on prescribed work. So I tell them I'm prescribing them things like a doctor would. There was some questions about would the students really be working? Would they feel the need to be secretly working on other things? And first of all, I grade them, and their daily points are that they are working on the ACT work, but almost instantly there was a buy-in, and the students wanted to work on the ACT work. I couldn't get them enough ACT work. I had to dig up other practice tests for them. One young man went through all of my reading tests 3 weeks before the ACT test, so I had to find some additional things for him, which was wonderful. I was happy to do that. As students improve, maybe their schedule changes. So some young people, once we neared the test, didn't have to meet with me the entire bell. They met with me and checked in about some things. We remediated what needed work. And then I could send them back to their seat and call up students who were still struggling. So that was nice, and we were able to accommodate that. Any questions?
I had the pleasure of being in the parade, and there was a young lady who drove me. She's a senior. The entire time of the parade, that's all she talked about was her ACT. I want to get this score. This is the score that I need. I have to get this score. Ms. Henson's prepared me. I'm excited. I wish the ACT test were today. And I'm thinking, like, this is weird. You know? I mean, I was just enjoying the moment, and I didn't think about the parade. I just listened to her, and that's very exciting. And I asked her before, prior to the class, were you this involved with ACT? She says, well, no, because the school didn't seem to be that involved with it. So it's the attitude that we talk about.
Absolutely. I'm going to share some student comments with you. I asked Mrs. Henson to get some comments from students. So you will actually see their names, and they have given their permission. So it's pretty enlightening. So from Rodane Miller, this ACT class is really great for students. All the stuff that I learned in here are really going to help me get a good score on the ACT. When I started this class, I was terrible at reading tests. I learned one-on-one how to attack the reading test, and it is now my strongest subject. From Nyla Bomar, I absolutely love this class. In the beginning, I was nervous about taking the ACT. I had never taken the test before. I just knew it was something I needed to get into college. So I went to my counselor and begged her to add this class to my schedule. After being in this class, my confidences went up. I have no fear. I can walk into the test knowing I can get a good score. Mrs. Henson has helped me understand the ins and outs of the ACT. From Sierra Cheatham, I absolutely love this class. Mrs. Henson taught me the ins and outs on mastering a better score on the ACT. I have nothing to worry about now. Mrs. Henson made me more confident on my grammar, punctuation, and reading. Also, I worked on science and math. I feel like I am capable of bringing my composite score up by 6 or 7 points. I have to say, this really fits growth mindset, what we want to develop in our kids, the ability to believe in themselves, that they have the power to change their academic success.
And talk about, I sent an email out to, and I will forward it to you all if you would like to see it, but the students the week before the test predicted their growth. How many points am I going to grow in each of the 4 tests based on practice tests and other data that I had been collecting, and I keep a sheet on every child, how many times we meet, what they miss, what they do well on, predicted scores, and so we added those together by bell, and I made signs for each bell. And then when they saw that some of those totals were over 200 points, they said, whoa, 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 whoa. Can we change our scores? And I said, well, individually, you all said you were going to go up 15 or 20 total points, but now, you're worried? And they said, no, I know that I can do what I put down. So as a total, all 4 bells, it was nearly 800 points of growth that we were predicting. So we are excited for November 12th when those results will be back.
Ryan Capel. I too did not want this class. When I first got my schedule, I thought this would be a waste of my time and tried to get a different class almost immediately. I remember my counselor said that this class was really, that's my typo, really the thing that I could, really the only thing I could take because everything else was full. However, I'm very glad I took this class and it has helped me tremendously as I'm trying to raise my ACT score. Jada Wakefield, I feel that providing this class to our school was crucial. Personally, I feel that this class has helped me improve as far as confidence for taking standardized tests. I know that I will see an increase in my ACT test score. Matt McNeil, in both of my previous ACT tests, I fell just short of my goal. My biggest weakness in the test were my science scores, which now I am completely confident in. This class showed me how to take the science test to optimize my results and with great success. On a pre-test, I even improved 10 points on science. I feel very well prepared and confident in my ability to reach from my composite score of a 28 to a composite score of 30 or greater. We know if our students get 30s or higher, they're going to go some places.
Free.
And I think this is the last one, Matt Smith. At first I was hesitant with this class, but went along with it anyway because I knew it would help. Within 1 month of having the class, my composite jumped from a 25 to a 29.
And that was on the September ACT. The actual, he sat and took the ACT, not in my room.
I hadn't even done the reading or science lesson yet. On this test, I'm hoping to get a 31 or 32 because I know how to approach the test now. Without this class, I could probably have gotten a 27 or 28 by myself, but never a 31 or 32.
And that's not up there, but I met this young lady, and we're going around, and I said, what's your ACT score? And she says, well, she didn't seem to be too happy, and she says, well, right now I have a 32, but I'm trying to improve that score. And we're like, okay, next person. Because her goal is to get a 36. So before we started the lunch with the superintendent piece, I just want to add one more part to this. Someone gave me some information that was not accurate. Someone from the community, they are not even around anymore, but about the challenges of Winton Woods, and the students are hoping they get scores of 13s and 15s and 12s. And so each time we have the lunch with the superintendent, the lowest score that a student has ever hoped they would receive is a 23. So it's the attitude about the professionals in the classroom, the professionals that serve all of the students every day, and the attitude of the board that says we can do this just by saying that we are going to put things in place to make it right for children and taking away the financial burdens. So thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you,
That
Dr.
concludes
Mr.
my
Smith,
report.
I have a question, and this is, I feel like a community member at this point. I'm going to ask one of those gotcha questions, but not purposefully. If I was looking,
So you're going to ask the question to Dr. Holden?
I'll ask you. I'll ask
Okay.
you.
The hard question
I'll
is the
ask
easy
you,
question.
and you'll probably defer it off. If the top 10% of our students academically are taking ECT scores, that makes pretty much sense that there would be one, they're well suited, they were prepared. But tell me about the students. I already know the answer and I'm surprised, but tell me about the students. Are they our top 10% students?
No.
No, in fact, I told Dr. Holden my goal for next year is to get more of the top students in because I felt very few were our top 10. And not that I don't like helping the others because they're the ones, I mean, I can take a 13 to a 23 all day long, but to get that student from a 28 to a 32, and we're talking money, we're talking, you know, other opportunities, because I think some of our 28s feel they're done.
Well, that's the part that I'm surprised with. I mean, meeting some of the students at the luncheon, at the superintendent's lunch, the business partner lunch, and a student telling me, I have no intention of going to college. I'm going into the military, but I'm going to score a 28 on that daggone test.
Absolutely.
And right now I'm at 24, and I'm thinking, this is such a mindset change that you have a student, one that was probably not at the top of the pool academically, but something's happening.
One of the things I think it's absolutely happening is that we are endorsing this and making it important from the top down. It's not just those who happen to come from the right families who are having the right conversations at the dinner table and have the financial support to be able to do the extra tests. And it's conversation within our walls. And I'm talking about our district walls that says we need to talk to every kid and we need to make this important and drive home the importance of where this can take you long term.
Madam President, you're correct, because when you ask the students after they've taken the initial test and they receive a score, you ask them, if you get your optimal score, are you going to take the test again? They all raise their hand. I'm taking the test again.
Mm-hmm.
That's a total different mindset.
I think what we're experiencing is what we've been talking about from the paradigm shift that we were talking about, just like culturally instilling that belief in the kid that they can learn, and that, you know, our teachers and instruction and administrators believe they can as well. And I'm proud to say that my son has been in the ACT prep class and has really, I've never heard him say he enjoyed, you know, preparing for a test, and he has said that. So if we can invest in about 3 more Mrs. Hensons and Mrs. Goins, that would be great. But, you know, you guys are doing a great job. I just want to say that. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And I know that firsthand. So.
I just want to say one last thing so that the last image folks have is not that we're only approaching this with test prep, and is that you can see hopefully by the comments that there's a feedback to this back into the classroom. So when kids have that kind of mindset, then that there's a translation there into their other classes. You know, I never thought I could do this on the ACT. Well, I never thought I could succeed in my science class either, but now that I see I can do this, there's a connection to this. So it feeds the other part as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm sitting here with chagrin. Thank you for the information, by the way, but I would have given anything for this to have been available when my students came through. This was not what I heard from this district 25, 30 years ago, was that the counselors are so busy. There is so much paperwork associated with testing and the administrative part that I'm not sure that my daughter ever sat down with the counselor. I'm not sure that my son ever did. So, not that I did it right, but at home I tried to do a lot of what you're talking about. And as you know, those of you who have students, children, sometimes parents aren't always the best teachers. Sometimes there's resistance. Sometimes the stranger, the outside family person can cover some things that parents just have a hard time doing. And given, tying this back to the economic, given that now we have roughly 30 times more percentage of our students below the poverty level than when my son and daughter were in this.
You're right.
So you're helping to do what, frankly, what rich communities do. I mean, money-rich communities. You're giving them information-rich. Thank you.
Could my son introduce himself?
Yes.
Microphone. He's still in
My name is Augie Anton. I'm in first grade.
We're so glad you're here.
First grade.
Thank you for bringing your mother tonight.
Looks like this is going to be a Winton Woods Warrior.
On the football field.
He's a little tall.
Thank you for introducing
Thank you.
yourself.
All right, Section 9, Superintendent's recommendations.
Yes, Madam President, recommendations to approve the personnel schedules. Section A, resignations and retirement. Section B, certificated employment. Section C, support staff. Section D, extra duty and supplemental employment. And Section E, leaves.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? No questions. Mr. Seymour, will you call the roll?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye.
Mr. Pennicuick?
Aye.
Mr. Cleary?
Aye.
Mrs. Burns?
Aye. 9.02, resolution of the American Education Week.
Madam President, I'd like to read the proclamation.
Please.
Whereas American Education Week was first adopted December 1921 as an opportunity to celebrate the accomplishments of our public schools and to acknowledge the importance of community support of public education back in 1921. Whereas teachers, administrators, educational professionals, and educational support staff working at the local, regional, or state level serve our children and communities with care and professionalism. And whereas the strength, vitality, and freedom of our nation depends on citizens who are dedicated to the education of the next generation through the common school, which welcomes all children and strives to educate them to their highest potential. And whereas partnerships among public schools and their communities help build the support for public education that will sustain this vital institution through its many challenges in educating our children. And whereas the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education will ensure quality education for all children that will provide them with the tools they need to maintain our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, and equality. Be it therefore resolved that on this date, October 27, that American Education Week shall be a time to focus attention on the importance of our public schools, its students, and its staff. The Winton Woods City School Board of Education hereby proclaims November 17th to the 21st, 2014 as American Education Week.
Madam President, I move the adoption of the resolution just read.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the resolution as read. Any questions? Hearing none, Mr. Seymour?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye.
Mr. Pennicuick?
Aye.
Mr. Cleary?
Aye.
Mrs. Burns?
Aye. 9.03, the resolution of International Education Week.
Madam President, the International Education Week begins November 17th and goes into the 21st. The resolution reads, whereas the week of November 17th to the 21st, 2014 is International Education Week, and whereas as a nation we are charged with broadening our focus and becoming engaged in building international relationships, and whereas we should expand our efforts to learn from other countries about techniques and practices that will help us improve our own system of education, and whereas we should provide leadership in educational issues in appropriate international forums and could collaboratively work on initiatives of common beliefs, and whereas it is appropriate to educate and encourage students to learn other languages, cultures, and challenges outside of our nation's borders. Therefore, be it resolved that the Winton Woods City Schools Board of Education formally promotes and supports international awareness and the importance of teaching our students international education skills, adopted this 27th day of October, 2014.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I motion to approve the resolution of International Education Week, November the 17th to the 21st, as presented.
Second.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Hearing none, Mr. Seymour?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye.
Mr. Pennicuick?
Aye.
Mr. Cleary?
Aye.
Mrs. Burns?
Aye. Board of Education reports. Mr. Pennicuick, legislative report.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Board, colleagues, there will be no details tonight as all of our legislators at this state and local level are out trying to get elected or reelected. So there is no, maybe it's a great situation, I don't know, but there is no activity to report at the moment.
Thank you, sir. Great Oaks report, Mr. Cleary.
Madam President and Board, I have a very short report. I won't read my report. Just like Mr. Smith, I've been trying to go out and meet our students at the Oaks, and had the opportunity to meet a recent graduate from the Oaks, one of our students that was in the welding school, and I had asked him how things were going, and has he found a job yet? Is he employed? He said yes, he's employed, and his starting salary was $56,000 a year, which is, when I think of we had teachers on our list here.
Don't let the teachers.
Yeah, but I want to say he's really proud, and I'm proud too that we have students that have chosen careers that with good sustainable incomes for he and his family. He's still single, but it's exciting to see that. It's exciting that he followed a passion that he had. So anyway, with that.
Mr. Cleary, do they have any openings for night welders?
Probably. Probably.
I'll let you know how that
You
works
want to
out.
move up?
Thank you, sir. 11.01, any board motions or recommendations? Hearing none tonight. 12.01, comments from the board. Mr. Pennycuff, anything from you?
Yes, I wanted to make two comments about the fine arts program, specifically the music program. I want to take advantage of the fact that there are two of our bright young music teachers sitting in the audience tonight, and I wanted to commend, well, science is bright young teachers too, but I just happen to be talking to these two, or talking about these two. I attended a couple of days ago a recital or concert that Mr. Morales had at the intermediate school. This beginning string students, and if you've ever had a beginning string student in your home, you know it takes a while to have some satisfaction to the sound. Colleagues, he had over 60 fifth graders there, which must be about 3 times what I saw just a couple of years ago. They were, to a person, they were dressed professionally. They were dressed for concert. Their stage presence, they knew when to pick up their instrument, how to hold it, where to put it when they were not on the verge of playing it. They knew how to acknowledge the applause, all the package that goes in addition to the music of presenting the music. Off to a great start this year, thank you. And to the band program, I wanted to mention that there is, this Saturday afternoon, evening, there is a marching band concert and banquet at the high school. It starts about 5 o'clock, is that right, Matt? 5 o'clock. I'm sure that you could still get in if you wanted to. I would call that to your attention. I wanted to follow up one comment. We were adding on to Dr. Holden's presentations quite a bit, part of the fun. And you made the comment about a student having a 28 on the ACT and maybe not going to college, maybe going into the military. I can tell you from personal experience, your ACT score makes a big difference as to what assignment you get if you go in to the military. I went in from college, had a great set of experiences, went to nice places and so forth. So it's can be a wonderful way to start a career or to continue a career. So test scores matter not just on college application, but it opens other doors. End of comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cleary?
Yes, Madam President, Board, my only comments this evening is, as I look out in the audience, and a couple of our teaching staff have left. Over the 10 years that I've been a board member, while I don't mean to project that other board members should do this, but I've done something for over 10 years where I meet teachers when they come in first thing in the morning, generally on the first day of school and usually after Christmas break. And if I get there at 5:45 in the morning, there are teachers that I've already missed that have come into the building. Some of the folks that are here in the audience, they're at school a little bit after that, and they're still here this evening, which means they probably put in a 14 or 15-hour day. And I want to say thank you for your commitment to doing that. It's something that I've seen and I experienced. I would not have guessed that teachers would be coming that early and would be, not that they're not committed. I know they're committed, but they're taking time away from their families, you know, having to bring their children, which is nice, but that they're that committed. So to the staff, thank you so much. I'd like to make a comment. It may not be appropriate, but I'd like to make a comment about the election, and just to encourage folks to go out and vote. You lose by one vote and you win by one vote. And this is a very important vote for our community. So it's very important that you go out and you vote. I'd like to thank you, Jessica, for running the campaign. While some of the community may think that parts of it were inappropriate, you run a campaign with community members and staff that are committed to go and do the work. And sometimes the work may be interpreted as inappropriate, but from having worked on campaigns, location for signs are important, and you need to know where your yes signs are and your no signs, regardless of which side you're on. So I want to thank you, and all of your volunteers aren't here, but if they were here, I'd say thank you for running the campaign, and thank you, staff, for the extra commitment. I've seen you out there in the evenings, I've seen you on the weekends, I've seen you in all the communities. Thank you for your support for the bond, and please go vote.
Thank you, sir.
One comment. When we've been doing the lunch with the superintendent, Ms. Jordan kindly reminded me about the children that are at the community building. They are our children too. Mm-hmm. And we did not get a chance to have lunch with them because of their times, but we called it brunch. And it was the most exciting meeting with young people that I've ever had. These are students that came in credit deficient. They've made up credits. They're excited about graduation. And so they're still our Winton Woods students, and we have to make sure that we reach out to them to let them know they're a part of who we are and what they do. We're going to take it one step further. We're going to meet our students who are in the Oaks next week. So the goal is to meet 100% of the seniors, to let them know that we are doing our own market research to figure out how we can be better at our craft of educating kids. So there you go.
So you will know your students on graduation
I
day.
will know them on graduation day.
Absolutely.
For sure. Absolutely.
Comments, Ms. Miranda?
No comments from me, Madam President.
All right, Dr. Johnson?
No comments.
I do have one to add. Last Monday evening on the 20th, the Forest Park City Council read into record a resolution supporting our bond efforts and the levy. And this was primarily in part to conversations that Ms. Miranda and I have had with that council over the last 6 months or so, really beginning to build back, I think, a relationship and answer some really hard questions and being very transparent on both sides of the table. And so one, I really want to publicly thank them for the willingness to come to the table and have the discussions. And they've been on various topics. That was just one. But just to report back that was read into their record on last Monday. All right, are there any comments from the Winton Woods Teachers Association?
Yes.
I just love that you smile all the time.
Hey, I'm a teacher. Love my job.
Absolutely.
First of all, I want to say I'm very proud to represent the. This is one of the rare times someone asked me to be louder, so thank you. I appreciate that. I'm very proud to represent the hardworking, quality teachers of Winton Woods. But not only that, this school year, the culture, the positive that I've been seeing, it's such a blessing, and it's really an exciting time to be a part of this district. And there's so many of us teachers that feel that way. For example, since our last meeting, thank you, Tim. Thank you, John, for helping out in my classroom. We worked through a lot of issues successfully with Courtney and Steve and Terry and Mr. Smith, and it's really it's just I don't remember feeling this way about Winton Woods in a long time. It's I think with the bond issue coming up, it couldn't be better timing, honestly. Speaking of which, I had my nice spiel too, but the community members did such a nice job that I was like, I'm not going to fill out a yellow form. They're handling this, but there was I think it's so appropriate right now with what has happened recently in the high school. As Steve always hears all the building issues, but I think if we're going to film a commercial for the bond issue, if we could, it would have been perfect if you could have been, and I know you help out Waycross Television with Mrs. Samini, if you could have been in her room with the gentleman in the paper suit trying to check out the asbestos and the pipes breaking and 3 inches of water on the floor. That could have been great timing if you would have been there that day. But that was just last week, and it's really amazing the buildings have made it this long. But it's time for them to come to an end. Over my time here, I'm not going to go into every story because we'd be here for several hours. But besides Becky, Alice, and Barbette Kirk, Jenny Jung, the entire middle school staff, multiple times with building issues, having to be out of their classroom, sometimes for a day, sometimes for months at a time, that the teachers and their children that they teach could not be in the classroom, which is something that we take for granted. And the stories I could tell, but I'm not going to go into all the detail, but just so many, unfortunately. And I'm looking forward, we are looking forward to that changing here very soon. One thing I would like to address briefly, because I imagine he's still watching this later on. So one thing Mr. Willard brought up was the best and brightest being homeschooled and going to private schools and not going to Winton Woods. No. And I'm sure there are some. Obviously, I teach science. There's always an exception. Just found an exception to one of Einstein's theories a couple of years ago. But if you take the time to actually look around the district at the programs that have been started, one we just saw, another one Dr. Holden started with AGS. If we have proven as teachers, and we want to keep proving this, that if you give us the resources, like with the Academy of Global Studies, I know they only represent 12% of our student body, but still, I love telling my colleagues, why are you sending your kid to Fairfield High School when you can go to AGS and get a better education? According to the ODE website for OGT scores, we have a higher 2-year average. Princeton's not even in the conversation. They're not even close. Finneytown's not even close. Every school that we're in the immediate vicinity of, with the exception of Wyoming, it's just on the Ohio Department of Education website, as I've shared with you guys before. But hey, I got to brag about some of the wonderful things that are going on and refute that. And one last thing to mention, I heard some things. Mr. Clear, I like what you said, socioeconomically, searching for ways to solve that issue about the socioeconomic gap. Hey, 19 different languages in AGS, and we are, Oak Hills can't even say that they're that close to us. Something to be proud of here. So, thank you very much, and let's get our new schools. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here from Oaksey? Seeing none, is there a need, board, for an executive session?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. In that case, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Meeting adjourned.